Okay, are we working? It says we're working. Let's see. It's not working. I was convinced it's not, but it says it is. Oh, here we go. Here we go. We back. Yeah, oh my god. So, I don't know if it's literally that the internet cut out and it went through like 4 attempts to reconnect, but then it said it was fine, but then YouTube was like stream ended. It's over. And so I think it was maybe a potential, like YouTube has a timeout. It timed out into fixing it, and then OBS wouldn't let me just fix it. So I'm so sorry about that. But we are back. Probably should have finished my breakfast while I was trying to fix that. But yeah, how do I do the pop out chat again? So yeah, oh my gosh. I was just trying to say, you can't throw away or recycle plastic number 4. And so I went to see where the live stream cut off. But yeah, no. So what I was saying in the other freaking URL link entirely was that I moved, and so now I know much more about recycling, to which is plastic number 7, 1 through 7 minus 4. And so I really want to get a hold of my local grocery store and be all like, so we can recycle the plastic bags here. Can we also recycle plastic number 4? Because that is just about every single thing. Like everything. If it's not a harder plastic, it is plastic number 4 and you just have to throw it away. And I hate that in life. It's so ironic how they're all like, we need to use less plastic, and there's numerous places where you can't even get plastic bags, like Aldi, or in Chicago you have to pay for them. So why are we still using it to cover literally every single thing? So that's my life right now. Even just the same, I want to look for actual cellophane instead of just plastic wrap, because cellophane is a cellulose-based wrapping, so you can save your food, but also like recycle the cellophane because it's compostable, it's decomposable. So yeah, oh my gosh. I think that's a whole nother thing about my book. It secretly is just tricking you into being a big hippie. Because me personally, I'm a big hippie, but I'm also a little bit of an anarchist about it. I'm over here like, no, we need to just get rid of every single thing. And at this point, maybe a little bit violently, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, Charlie, how are things? How's school? How's the donkeys and the cows? Have you been following our cow Angus from Mischief? ironically, like literally every single time I go to check the percentage, because we need to get to 50% to save the cow Angus in the mischief social experiment, it literally hasn't changed since I posted that video. So that's super fun. You can also go onto eBay and still buy the tokens and, you know, either get a burger, a bag, or save the cow. The most ironic part to this whole thing is I actually bought leather items for numerous people this year to maybe make them think about leather a little bit more. You know, just get it into their heads, get it under their skin. So yeah, that's my life. Even like the other day I was talking to Lauren, my fiance, about how like they're trying to build like a Neuralink freaking factory in Hawaii, and it's seemingly conspiracy about how the whole like ice business, they're shipping people down to Hawaii to you know, put Neuralink in them. And he's just like, okay, first of all, you're crazy, that's not a real thing, but second of all, like, why do you even care? And I'm just like, I said, like, my blood started boiling. Like, why do I care? Why don't you care? So Charlie says, my cows are great. Hazel had a little boy and we named him Basil as a boy. Oh my gosh. That is the cutest thing in the whole world. Oh, I've watched videos about cows giving birth. Oh my goodness. They're so cute. They're so cute. Like my neighbors, they have sheep, and during the whole summer they had them in like cute little pens so they could like basically control where they're grazing. But ever since winter started, they're just like, you can graze wherever. I don't care. And so sometimes they're like right next to the fence, and there'll be like a little teenage, like a much smaller sheep, not a baby. I think they wouldn't have the babies out. But the little itty bitty, slightly smaller sheep are so cute. And then some are huge, like sheep that have the head of a cow. I'm over here like, so this is either a different species or boy sheep look like mini cows. We had 2 visiting donkeys yesterday that we had to wrangle and help them get back to their owners. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. So I moved out to the countryside, and so there's tons of different farms around. And so like my neighbors, they are Amish, and so they'll have their horses come little buggying down. And the other day, like freaking 2 weeks ago, there was just horses outside, and I was like, why are there horses just right there? Where are the humans? So they had to come running out of their house to wrangle them in, but it was cute because they were just like, come on, come on. But of course, like, I was almost certain that they were their horses, and so the horses knew like where to go. But if you got visiting donkeys, they're probably over here like, I don't know where to go. This is not my normal place. But toward the food, you'd assume, right? Oh, it's so darling. I've seen a couple of farms around with donkeys. I still don't totally understand the purpose of donkeys. Like, other than, I know you can use them. Use them is such a weird term. But I know you can utilize donkeys to like move stuff, like a little cart or something, but not like a big carriage like you can do with a horse. The most of my donkey knowledge comes from the movie The Three Caballeros, where you have the flying donkey. So, not much information there. Pardon me. Yeah, excuse me, sorry. I still need to finish my breakfast. But I'm pretty sure the Three Caballeros is set at Christmas time. And so if you haven't watched it yet, right now is the perfect time to watch it. It's got beautiful, like how they celebrate Christmas in like Mexico and stuff with like beautiful songs, and they go to like Bahia. There's like a little travel the world, like Central America. Oh, it's beautiful. Such a good movie. Oh, donkeys. Charlie says, donkeys are wonderful companions and they have deep emotions and can teach us a lot. It was a beautiful sentiment. I know firsthand, like when I got my dog when I was 17, ironically, his name was Charlie. I didn't even understand the meaning of emotions or to be like benevolently loving and not really necessarily expecting love back in return, you know, like the reciprocity. But they do reciprocate the love. Oh my gosh. Obviously, dogs and donkeys are very different, but I don't think people understand love until they have a pet. That's just my thinking. And especially like since I got my tortoise, Irving, he obviously is a very different sort of creature, a cold-blooded creature, but he still reciprocates the love. And you probably think to yourself like a snake or a lizard or a tortoise, they don't like care about you. But it's like, no, they do. They do in their very own cute little way. I did have a lizard. Her name was Lizzie. Lizzie, she wasn't even a lizard. She was like a gecko or a newt or something. But her name was Lizzie, like Lizzie Borden or something. And she was just the cutest thing. She would molt and need maybe just a little bit of assistance. And then she passed from old age. But it was really funny because my sister's boyfriend at the time was like doing a whole bunch of truck driving. And so like it just hopped on the truck in Florida. And so he came over to us like, hey, do you guys want a lizard or a newt or a gecko or whatever the hell? Because it's lost. It needs a home, you know? So we adopted her, little tiny lizard. And it was the most precious thing. Speaking of too, my mice that I had ages and ages ago, I even have a short little essay about my mice in my book, actually. The last one passed away a few weeks ago, but that was a really beautiful adventure. We bought 2 mice. One of them turned out to be pregnant, and she gave birth to 13 baby mice. And so we got to see them grow up from peanuts into old balding mice. But the craziest part is how much a store-bought mice is not a mouse, okay? I will have you know, these are 2 completely different creatures with a microevolution between them, making one optimal for laboratory research and the other one optimal for actually living life as a small creature. Most especially, they're shaped different. And so if you've ever seen like a house bunny, not the movie, but like a bunny you'd buy at the pet store, versus a wild bunny, their bodies are completely different. Like wild bunnies have much larger legs and ears, or is it smaller ears? Either way, they're shaped for travel and being, you know, the prey that needs to get away kind of thing. And so the wild mice here at my house, in my house, are very different. They have much longer legs, much smaller bodies, and their eyes are as big as their ears, okay? And so it's really unnerving to think why all pet mice pass away. And it's almost always from the big C or something close to that. But it's because they were bred in a laboratory and tested on. And so this is probably a huge conspiracy that I'm making public right now, but it's not a conspiracy theory. They're different animals. And so, yeah, the last mouse finally passed away due to old age. And so realistically, 1 out of the 13 mice passed away to natural causes. The other 12 did not. I had to watch them, get sick. It was not fun. Ugh, but let's think of a better topic. I love my animals, and I love Charlie. I don't know if you caught it, but I bought a dog. I got a new dog basically around the 2-year mark of losing my last dog. Technically, probably like 4 months early than 2 years. But either way. Oh, yes. Thank you for saying that, Charlie. I did try to give them the best life they could. I bought like $60 worth of mice tubes so they could go all which way. Of course, once they get old, they're not super interested in that. But like, I'll give them a little bath time and a bunch of fresh hay. Yeah, just so cute. And especially when you buy 2 mice, you don't expect to be the mother of 14 mice, right? And so it was a time, but they're just the cutest little things. I just wish that they weren't from a laboratory at that point, right? But now I am in a mood of like, there is no mouse in my house. Get them the F out of here because they're trying to destroy my kitchen. And so like, I grew up in a house that was a little dirty and I wasn't always the best at doing the dishes. But now, if I don't do the dishes, something's gonna come check them out. I've been raising 4 baby ducks the past 2 months and they're almost full grown now. Oh, little baby duckies. That is so precious. I'm curious, like, so, you don't eat your animals that often. So with a duck, oh no, I guess my thinking is toward goose or geese. But like down pillows, down jackets and blankets, like, do you have to kill the goose to get the down feathers from them? I don't actually know. But with ducks, I guess the question is like, are you going for like a companion animal or is it like what is it called? What are the old English people named China? It was like Peking duck or something. I don't know. It was before they could understand what the Chinese called themselves, and so they came up with a whole name. And so that's what the duck dish is called. I've never had it. But so yeah, the closest thing I can relate to with ducks is going to like Weiwei Palace and seeing them hanging in the window roasting. But that's the full circle of life. Yeah, see, I knew it, Charlotte. You don't even eat meat, right? You're a vegetarian. Oh my God, what am I thinking? Literally, oh my gosh. So yeah, you never eat your animals. That is just beautiful. You must have amazing resources. Not even like to like afford to feed them, but like if you have a whole farm, it's basically almost self-sustainable to a certain extent because the ducks could eat like from one thing that you probably would consider garbage. And it's like, no, that's not garbage. We'll feed that to the ducks. I can't think of a single example. But yeah, we have raised Peking ducks before. They're Welsh Harlequins. Oh, I'm curious to look up a picture. So let me see about a little picture in picture moment. So Welsh Harlequin duck. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. It looks like the classic like mallard type. Oh, but they're like so colorful. Look at all the like polka dots. That would be difficult to draw. As an artist, I look at every single thing and it's difficulty to draw or not. We have to keep our puppy from eating the duck food. Oh my gosh. I imagine my puppy wants to eat every single thing. If it is a loose something, she will want to eat it, be it plastic thing, or a plastic wrapping, or paper, or a cardboard box. Oh my gosh. Duck eggs are great for baking. I assume they're larger, right? Highly valued for its excellent production. Oh, shoot. So these are pictures from like different ducks, different eggs. So maybe, yeah. Oh, that's a child's hand, right? This picture here. So when you're judging how big it is, I don't even know. This is either a child hand or a very large egg, to which you might have to convert your recipes to the grams of egg or not. I'm so curious. Oh, that sounds beautiful. Oh, it's a little stressful to even think about raising animals or gardening right now for me because allegedly, but most very seriously and scientifically proven, there is PFAS, the forever chemical, in Michigan water and rain. And so I want to look up, like, can charcoal filter PFAS? Or are all people just doomed to have the forever chemical in them? So duck eggs are a bit bigger than chickens. So you have like a ratio of 3 to 2 chicken and duck. Yeah, see, I figured as much. There might be a little bit more like yolk and maybe not yolk, white. Maybe the yolk is the same size. Or if the yolk is humongous, I don't even know. But oh, that's so darling. I wanted to make up some specialty cakes for Christmas, which use quite a bit of eggs. But I just did not have the time this year. Unfortunately, I was stuck cleaning mouse poop because they want to eat every single thing in my kitchen. And so I had to take out all the drawers with my utensils and my mise en place bowls and cups and wash every single thing. Um, and so, but I do really like to bake, and the past couple of years I've made financier cakes, which is this French cake that I found in Japan, and it's wonderful. It's basically flavored from the almond flour that you use, but also browned butter. Browned butter is the most delicious thing in the world. But to make it, even just like 1 dozen, you need 4 egg whites whipped to a meringue type of whip. And so, ironically, I wasn't even thinking like, oh, I might have to skip it out this year because eggs are so expensive. No, I literally had Lauren go out and buy all the ingredients. He even came back and was like, how was this the most expensive shopping trip? And I'm looking at the receipt and I'm like, you did buy the most expensive eggs. This is a dozen eggs for almost $8. But they're like organic brown, Vital Farms, I think is the brand name. Oh my gosh. So it wasn't even the expense. It was the consideration for time that was opposed to me. But I would love to do that. I think the worst part about the entire Christmas season is that we got some nifty gifties, some little goodies, tiny little cookies and a miniature loaf of bread from our Amish neighbors. Well, when we went to go eat them yesterday, it turned out that they'd spoiled, and both of us just felt absolutely terrible because it's like fresh, homemade stuff with homegrown eggs and whatever the heck they got going back there. I wouldn't even be surprised if they sourced out wheat and then milled it themselves. So, sad story, but we move on. Yeah. For cooking tonight, I'm going to be making, for the very first time, ground pork tacos and or taco salad, whichever one seems easiest in the moment. But I bought a whole, like, 2 pounds thingamajig of ground pork because I noticed that Italian sausage, hot, is kind of expensive in comparison to just plain, unseasoned, fully uncased ground pork. Sorry, I got the burps. And so I bought a thing of ground pork and made a ridiculous amount of Italian sausage, minus fennel. Apparently I need to buy fennel in my life, because I've read it on a few recipes since making that. And so I made this huge batch of what I would consider to be spaghetti sauce, but I keep using it as pizza sauce. And oh my gosh, if you have never used spaghetti sauce for pizza sauce, I would highly recommend it. So Charlie says, I got a telescope for Christmas that I can spend my time gazing at the heavens. Oh my gosh, that sounds absolutely beautiful. Ugh. I live right underneath Orion's belt. I don't know how that works or how I haven't seen many star constellations other than that. I mean, obviously we got the Big Dipper, Little Dipper. But like stars are supposed to move, you know? But for some reason, I see Orion literally like every single night. So we were thinking about naming the house Orion's Keep. You know, because Lauren's a big medieval nerd and thinks the house should have a name. I love it, personally. But yeah, oh, so gorgeous. Every single time I think about staring at the stars, though, I think about this episode of Bones, which had this, I think she was like an autistic girl who, but to go back in time, they found a set of bones to where the neck was like, you know, pretty much like this. And so Brennan, Bones, she was like, this girl spent a grand majority of her time looking up. And so every single time I think about looking at the stars, I'm like, that's going to show in my bones. If I do it too much, I'm going to break my bones. How is the light pollution where you are? Can you see a lot of stars? So that is a very funny question. The light pollution where I live is 0%. Ever since the town put up Christmas lights on all of the street lights in town, because there's no street lights outside of town, like there is a little bit of a glow around the city, but before they put up the Christmas lights, there really wasn't one. And so if you go outside, you better be hoping the moon is out because you can't see anything. And so even like really specifically when we moved in, I was like, this is kind of scary. It is scary dark out here. And our neighbors are Amish, so they don't have a freaking light on. And then there is another house that's like maybe 1 mile that way. And so I can see their lights. And then there's a cute little farm facility, maybe 1.5 miles that way, and I can see their lights. And so like we're just a big plain, no real hills. And so that's the lights. If we got one tiny little house there and one larger facility there, and that's all. That's all the lights ever. And so my whole family thinks I'm absolutely mad for wanting to plan my wedding around a full moon. And I'm just over here like, no, you don't understand. Without the full moon, it's pitch black outside. So July 18, 2027 is like basically the only full moon on a Saturday within the next 2 years. And then in Greek tradition, getting married under a full moon is supposed to be really, really good luck. So I was like, that sounds amazing. But yeah, so because there is no light pollution, I've actually seen like 3 shooting stars since moving in here. And then since the winter started, there has been a lot of clouds. But I'm always giving Lauren crap for when we're ever like standing outside doing nothing specific. And he's like staring at his phone and I'm just like, you're gonna miss anything right now. And there was a moment where I saw a shooting star and he did not see a shooting star because he was staring at his phone. So if you ever need a good reason to not look at your phone, just think, I could be missing a shooting star right now. Good times, good times. I'm so excited for like the spring. But yeah, I'm really stressed to think like the PFAS. If I grow a garden, it's going to be contaminated. Is it possible that charcoal filters PFAS? I don't know. Yeah, so we want to get married and plan our entire life around the stars. See, I am a very nostalgic person for a time I have never lived in, and that time is 2,000 years ago, where people would plan their life with the stars. Ugh. So gorgeous. I'm getting very cold, so I think I need to turn the heat up. This is what I was saying way earlier on the other stream. This is a very, very, very cold house. And the crawl space needs to be insulated, and this room is the furthest room away from the heat, the HVAC system. And honestly, the only way to get the heat in here is to turn it up to 74 degrees. And I have found that if I live my life at like 70 to 74 degrees, it's about $10 a day in gasoline and propane. And so we've been rocking it at like 65 and then turning it up to 70 at nighttime. I know that seems backwards, but hear me out. But basically, because we have a Russian tortoise, and after we turn off his heat lamp, he can't get colder than 70 degrees. And so I basically freeze myself out all day long so that we have the money to turn on the heat at night so we can turn off his light and he'll still be perfectly happy and fine. But I figured since I am in here today, I might have to just spend the money to heat up this room because it's so cold. Lauren recommended we get a space heater, but I'm over here like, okay, first of all, there's only 2-prong outlets in the whole second half of the house. The kitchen and dining room have 3-prong outlets, the normal like grounded outlet, but the rest of the house has 2-prong outlets. So we have to use cute little adapters. And so you're not supposed to plug a space heater into a 3-prong adapter outlet. And this is carpet. You're not supposed to have a space heater on carpet. So ipso facto, ergo sum, there's no space heater. It's not happening. I'm way too paranoid for that to happen. And you know what? My microwave caught on fire last week. So I'm not risking it. That's the word I'm looking for. But what is a really good outcome in my microwave finally breaking after like 6 or 7 years is that I was able to finally buy the one that I really wanted, which is the Retro Series by Nostalgia, the red one with the, circular, basically like 1950s, 1960s, like future forward, retro futuristic. Yeah, oh, good times. So I knew I couldn't get that microwave until it died, until my Amazon microwave died. And so after that one did, I was just finally like, thank goodness. But the story is pretty funny because we moved in here and I was like, oh, I should get a new microwave right now, actually. But I was like, no, it's way too much to pay for. We're literally like redoing the kitchen, floors, and everything. And so I was like, we'll wait, right? But the other day, I went to go microwave some butter, and I was thinking to myself, like, grabbing the little bowl, putting the butter in, and I was thinking, like, this is it. The microwave's gonna die today. And I put the butter in the microwave, and then chick, it did not explode, but it was a snap, sizzle, pop, a little mini fire right there. And so in reading every single instructions in my new microwave, apparently I did not do the correct thing, exactamundo, to which is you're not supposed to open the microwave door if it starts on fire. You're supposed to unplug it. I just opened the door and the fire went out, thank goodness. But for anyone listening out there, if your microwave starts on fire, unplug it. Don't open the door. But I just opened the door and everything was perfectly fine. And we never used it ever again. Good times. So yeah, that was our unexpected Christmas present to ourselves, but still pretty exciting. But yeah, now I'm just over here like, I think I might need to put a few thousand into the electricity and rewire the entire house so that I can have 3-prong outlets everywhere. And so like, I've got you on an adapter. I got you on an adapter. There's an adapter. There's not. That's a 2-prong light. But still, it doesn't feel safe you know, and I'm a little scaredy cat, so. Thanks for letting me just ramble on about my paranoia of fire. I did actually already have an electrician come in here and be like, so are these adapters safe? Or is it fine? Like, is it cool? And he was like, yeah, super fine, super cool. It's obviously you're not supposed to live off power adapters, and you should rewire the whole house, but like, it's fine. So yeah. um, I really have to pee and turn the heat up. So I got a BRB for a minute. Maybe I'll make like a cute little page. I really wanted to make like a drawn, like, I'll be right back. And I even want to really make a new, like an outro drawing. You have solar panels at the farm? Yeah, so you guys are in self-sufficient city right now. That is amazing. I would love to get to that point. But at the same time, I would also love to drive over to Lansing and be all like, Governor Gretchen, you need to protect us Michiganders from all of the chemicals. And, you know, you're trying to put in a motherfucking data server on Lake Michigan, or like one of the Great Lakes, and it's absolutely unfounded. Like, do you not even listen or care about your constituents whatsoever? So that's why I feel like I can't be self-sufficient, because there's poison. There's poison, Charlie. So yeah, I got a cute little BRB. It's not at all as cute as I'd want it to be, but it is a BRB nonetheless. That means be right back, by the way. So be right back. I love you. It'll be only just like 5 or 10 minutes, depending. So, hey. Oh, I hit a button. Can you hear me? Oh my gosh. So yeah, tech bros. Charlie says, tech bros have taken over a lot of good natural environments for their data centers. And this is what worries me for the safety of everything. Because why? Why? My biggest complaint in the entire world has to be, why is Russia the worst? Like, why are they so evil? Because not only have they basically like brainwashed their entire peoples since like 100 years ago that they just need to live in these tiny cities all over like one belt, and then leaving the rest of the country empty. So, like, no offense, but why aren't we just becoming best friends with them so that we can use their entirely practically empty country for things like data centers, especially in like arid areas where, you know, you can't necessarily have a farm or something, but you can, you know, build infrastructure. So annoying. For those of you who don't know, Michigan is absolutely beautiful, and they want to destroy beauty for like just like AI, just like running AI and building data centers. And I made a TikTok post about this during the summer. Like, do you guys ever think about how, like, millions of points of data are uploaded onto the internet every single day, probably, you know, more than a terabyte, whatever is bigger than a terabyte. And where do you suppose all of this goes? And everyone in the comments is like, oh, you're so silly, it goes onto the internet. And I'm just like, well, where do you suppose that lives, huh? The cloud is somewhere. Just like for the new Blackmagic Cloud, there are very specific like cloud centers where you have to, like, if you're starting open a DaVinci Resolve project file on the Blackmagic Cloud, you have to click like what is the closest data center to you. And so for me, I think it's in like Ohio or something. And obviously this makes it run really slowly for when I'm connecting to the folks over in like the UK and Japan. It doesn't make it run very fast. And so I told him, like, next time we'll choose a data center closer to you. And so that way maybe you can have a faster running cloud stream and I'll have the slow one next time, right? I don't think people understand how much of the internet is still very physical. And so to not think that you are affecting the world by uploading a video is very wrong. Yeah, I'm glad I'm not the only one who secretly has no idea how the internet actually works. This is really ironic because when I was getting ready, I was playing an episode of like the IT Crowd. And there's an episode of the IT Crowd where Moss and Chris O'Dowd's character, what's his name? It doesn't matter. Anyways, they try to convince Jen that the internet is just like a little box. This is the internet. And so everyone's like, oh, ha, ha, you know, the internet isn't a box. But you know what? It is. It is just a box. It's a very large box. And back in the day, a computer used to be the size of a whole, like, school. Now, we still have that. We still do. Just picture, you know, any sort of technologically based spy movie, you know, and we got to go into the server room. And the server room is very large with a lot of servers. one very specific one would be like, it's not Yes Man. It's the Ryan Reynolds movie with the video game. Free Guy. Yeah, in Free Guy, at the end of the movie, you get to see all these servers, and that is what the internet is. It's a huge thing, a huge space, a huge whopping suck of energy. And the worst part is that people are just using this to escape from their real lives, because real lives suck butts. Or booty cheeks, as my little nephew likes to say. And so it's very upsetting to think about data centers and data servers. And I need to do way more research on the PFAS thing in gardening, because I will think about it every single day and every single time I eat something from my own freaking garden. Like, think about that. The food you eat is probably grossly contaminated with chemicals. Like, how rude is our entire government to just poison us every day? I even saw a clip, like on TikTok or something, and it was like, America will never have universal health care, because the second they do, they're going to realize that every single thing is poisoned. It makes us sick. And it's like, well, why don't they just realize that now? It's very obvious. Oh, but that's just a sad topic, and I don't necessarily like to think about how the world is completely ending, and for that reason, I wrote the book. After the world ends, you build your own. And so the title of the book, After the World Ends, is kind of subjective into what sort of context you put it in. And so for a good portion of the book, the world ending is about maybe the people around you aren't there anymore, aka death is very sad, and you have to get used to life when people are gone. Another thing about the entire world ending is the absolute trivial, awful BS people put so much stress and time and effort into. Like, for instance, gambling. You know, you lose and you're just like, oh my God, the world's ended. And it's not even like you lose, but like you opened a Labubu and it wasn't the color you wanted. And this feeds your cortisol levels into a way where you freak the frick out. And it's absolutely disgusting how much of the world is based off of distracting us from how much we just hate our lives. Isn't that awful? Isn't that just terrible? So to read to you the first, like, I mean, I could read the preface, but yeah, that's really long. I hate reading out loud. Charlie says, death and the universe ending become the same thing when you look at your life as being the hero's journey. Oh, I love the hero's journey so much. For anyone who doesn't know, obviously it's just me and Charlie in the chat here. But yeah, Joseph Campbell's Hero of a Thousand Faces, basically laying out the playbook of the hero's journey. And what this is that you have your ordinary world, and then you go into the extraordinary world. This is your adventure. And then you come back to your ordinary world as either a new man or new person, or you find that your ordinary world is completely different now. And so this can be seen in a whole lot of different like stories. Obviously you have like Hercules or Star Wars or even Shrek. Shrek's ordinary world was just living in a swamp. And then boom, all of a sudden the world is over and ended and gone because you have all of these fairy tale creatures moving in. And You sent an eviction notice. But yeah, so you go through your adventure of going through the extraordinary world, and for amazingly enough, Shrek does not have every single aspect of the hero's journey, to which is he didn't have to lose anything very specifically. Like, Donkey is still alive at the end of the movie. So I don't know if there's an exact elixir. So I don't know if it goes by the hero's journey, like literally point by point, but he gets the girl. The best friend doesn't die. And so he comes back to his ordinary world, a new man, but also with a wifey, and that's amazing. But what it really necessitated was his entire world ending and being destroyed. And in a good way, in a good light, you can always look at everything as a new beginning. Obviously, everything in my rhetoric always sounds somewhat religious, but I think when you have the same exact foundations within every single religion, it's just a good philosophy at that point. When one door closes, another one opens. Charlie says, everyone is one their own hero's journey all the time. And when we recognize that, very cool things happen. Yeah, exactly. I've gone through many a hero's journey in my life. And for this reason, actually, my original preface to the book was about how you can look at life like through different lenses of like chapters. You know, this chapter is over. Now we just need to go into a different chapter. But I think more realistically is like what Charlie's saying here, which is every portion of your life is a full book where you go through a hero's journey. And then that journey ends. And then maybe you find yourself being just in an ordinary world all over again, and something happens. Like for me, I lived with my great-grandmother. Pardon me, I got so many burps today. Yeah, I lived with my great-grandmother, and my sister was out to college, and it was a whole new ordinary world, but it was very extraordinary to begin with, right? But then once it was ordinary, again, it was over. You know, my great-grandmother, Elaine, she passed away, and I said, you know what? I'm going to go start a new adventure. I'm going to move out of my parents' house at 17, get out of high school, no more high school for me. I'm going to go online, K-12 style, and, you know, make up a new ordinary world. But at first, it will be extraordinary. It will be an adventure. And so every time something gets boring, just say thank goodness, because life will soon find a way, right? Life always finds a way. And I think that's a perfect reason as to why, like, I bought a dog. I adopted a rescue. And so life was beginning to feel ordinary. I was feeling a bit like a couch potato. I had no motivations for any single thing, even though my to-do list was compounding. But I was like, no, I need this ordinary world to stop. I need an extraordinary change, and for a little bit of an adventure. Charlie says, people use the term main character syndrome as an insult these days, but I think a lot of people have lost their sense of wonder and mystery. Oh, okay, so main character syndrome is a loaded topic to me, I think, because it kind of does point toward everyone basically having like a narcissistic personality disorder. And I think this is something a lot of younger folk are falling victim to, because the algorithm does see them as the main character. And so, like, the whole online sphere culmination will lead to, like, everyone thinking they're very special because your algorithm is built for you, right? But it's like, no, it's not. It's actually telling you who you should be and who they think you want to be, and also everything that's trending, like the consumerism. You don't necessarily think about it, but each and every single anti-consumeristic post is pro-consumerism, because you can actually feed yourself all of the consumeristic spiel through the lens of seeing it as negative. But this will still brainwash you into seeing everything that people are posting. I guess what I'm trying to say is all of the people who watch TikTok for you and then react and do commentary, you're still watching all of those TikToks, right? And so I think main character syndrome really stems from everyone having their very own little, like, niched algorithm, which is very like an echo chamber of people saying, like, basically the same thing. It really depends on, like, what side of the internet you're on, but it will still be influenced by what they want you to think or do or buy. And so ironically, to the main character syndrome coming from just having an algorithm that's like, this is for you, the For You page, is still kind of quasi not for you at all. It's for them, right? Oh, it really just makes me think of the whole TikTok thing of, like, you gotta post every single day, and then you can't ghost post, post and then disappear off of the app. You have to watch TikToks even, like, while it's posting, because, like, for instance, I don't have, like, the best internet in the world, right? And so I'll have to let my phone just sit and chill for like 5, maybe even 10 minutes sometimes, and I won't fall into their trap of, like, no, you have to watch TikToks to post TikToks. And it's like, no, you're just trying to get me into a time suck of being online, and you want me to post every single day, so you want me to scroll every single day. And I see through this mission and plan of yours, and I'm not going to do it. And so what do? I take the weekends off. I don't even post freaking TikToks on the weekend. But at that point, I'm not necessarily feeding into the post every day to get a following, because I don't post every day. But it is so stressful to think how much of our lives is being stolen from us just because we're convinced that we should all be, famous and rich. It's so hard because a lot of my book, I think, is pointed to those who want to be a producer versus a consumer. And so there is, like, a gray area there, an edge of, like, well, do you want to post a bunch or do you want to just watch a bunch? So sometimes I'm not exactly sure who my audience is in that, but I'm convinced every single person wants to be famous or rich, and not even to be famous, but just to have a good security and a job to where they A, like it more than a regular job, but B, can pay their bills without being stressed out. And I'm over here like, well, if we all just could pay our bills without being stressed out, we'd probably be less, fake and awful online trying to get famous and rich. So think about that. Charlie says, the post everyday mentality is also tied to the attention deprivation issue. You might have to explain this a little bit more, but I think I know what you're saying, to which is like our attention spans are terrible, right? Maybe I don't exactly know what you're trying to say here. But I'm trying to think, like, if you remember to post every single day, then you've built a habit. But maybe that's not what you mean exactly. But I think maybe you're just going toward what I was saying before, which is like, if you post every day, then you're watching videos every day. And then when you consume more and more short form content, you are destroying not even just your attention span, but also like your dopamine receptors in your brain, because you will just get hit with the dopamine. And people can't handle that. It's addictive, honestly. So our collective attention spans are shrinking, and it's a byproduct of social media and the algorithm. Yes, exactly. Our attention spans as a collective are shrinking. And this is actually one of the main reasons why I set a word limit for my book to 33,000 words. And not only is it a short book for the short attention span of people, but it is also aphorism based. And so you get just a little bit of reading to do, because so many people are online being all like, that's way too much reading. I'm not even going to touch it. I'm not even going to start reading it. And so if you want to get people to read books, maybe the book should almost be like a social media feed where you're kind of just like looking at my Twitter page if Twitter's character limit was much longer, because there are a couple of essays in here, but yeah. So Charlie says short form is messing us up. Oh my gosh. So don't tell anybody, but I am currently addicted is the only word I can think of, but it is so accurate. But I am currently trying to not watch for short form content, because when I'm home alone all day long, Lauren is gone for literally ages to go to work and stuff, and I work on YouTube, right? So I accidentally will click on a short, and then we'll accidentally watch a YouTube shorts, 4 hours, like 2-3 hours, and it's so hard to stop. And it's so hard to move from short form content to longer form content. Even like a TV show where it's a little bit way more fast paced than a movie, or even like an audiobook. We can go from a scale of short form content to like a YouTube video, because it can be shorter than like a TV show, to like a TV show. And then maybe we can put YouTube videos here again, because sometimes they can be longer than a show, but not as long as a movie, right? And then movies, and then full whole ass long form content would be like an audiobook. So I am just trying to have enough attention span to watch a TV show. Like, that is brain rot to me. If I can't sit down for 25 minutes and watch one show, there's something wrong with me. And so this is why I say you have to have some sort of willpower and understanding that you need to stop, because it's messing everybody up, including myself, you know. But I think for me personally, oh, hi, Saucer7 Studios. What's up? We're just talking about short form content and how evil it is. But for me personally, some context here. I work basically in marketing PR, to where I watch YouTube videos and I like go out via my like work email, and I email them like, hey, I'd love to work with you, blah, 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 blah. And my boss, she's all like, there's so much short form content. Like, people will only make short form content. They won't make full length videos. So we should reach out to people who make shorts or TikToks or YouTube videos, not YouTube, Instagram videos, and talk to those people. And so I'm like, okay, sounds great. And so I'd like start scrolling YouTube shorts or Instagram, and I'm always over here like, I don't think any of these people would be interested in working with us, first of all, but also this has destroyed my brain. This is frying my brain. Charlie says, I've tried to cope by making things more analog. That's a perfect thing to do. Lots of physical books are important, and using physical media like DVDs has been very helpful. Oh my gosh. Boy, do I know that analog and physical is so important. Take, for instance, music. Spotify's algorithm, sorry, excuse me, burp. Spotify's algorithm is slowly becoming terrible. Sorry, I don't know why I'm so burpy today. But yeah, so I've been jamming out to like some 1980s, 1970s to 1960s music, and it's been a freaking blast. But it keeps playing this same exact music like over and over and over again. And so I'm like, actually, I have about 200 vinyls that I can just go put on and actually listen to the music that I know and love and pick myself. And like some music doesn't even exist on Spotify. But not only that, but Spotify only letting me listen to like 20 different songs when a whole world of music exists. I'm over here like, no, I'm picking the music, Spotify. I'm sorry. I'm getting out my vinyls. I'm putting on some freaking records and picking the music my freaking self. Charlie says physical DVDs or Blu-rays can be super great antidote to endless browsing on super great antidote to endless browsing on streaming service. Oh my gosh, yes. So like when you're going to go pick a movie and you accidentally sit there for 90 minutes just trying to pick a movie, I know that life. I know exactly what you're talking about. That's why I love things like Tubi, because their recommends is actually like lit AF. They almost always have perfect recommendations. Like, so I was gonna go do my makeup, right? And so I was like, oh, I kind of wanna like listen to something. I accidentally opened YouTube. Oops, literally immediately shorts, and I'm like, no shorts. And so I'm like, I'm gonna put on some TV. And so I opened Tubi, and it's like, do you want to watch IT Crowd? And I'm like, I do want to watch the IT Crowd. How did you know? And so like that is amazing. Other than that, my PS4's disk drive is broken, and my PS3 only streams Netflix, and I think that's it. I think everything else on the PS3 is no longer in service. And so like I have a lot of DVDs, and I go out thrift shopping and I'll buy DVDs. But sometimes I just want to watch a bunch of shoots that are on Disney, and so I'll have to unplug the PS4 or PS3 and switch them up. But I've been telling Lauren for like 2 or 3 weeks now, like we should just plug the PS3 back in and watch our DVDs, so we're not spending any time picking a movie that we're only going to watch for 5 minutes. What's fantastic is we've been watching Sherlock a whole bunch, and so there's like 3 or 4 seasons, I think 3, but each season has 3 episodes that are all 90 minutes each, and so basically they've made like 12 movies or like 9 movies, and so I've just been jamming out to that. No thinking, or not no thinking, but like no time wasted. Still very much so authentic decision making. Last night we watched the Cook-Off though. Cook-Off. It's this amazing movie with a bunch of people from like Reno 911. Also Melissa McCarthy is in it for like 5 minutes. It's so great. I bought it on Prime because it's never on streaming anymore. But anyways, Charlie says vinyl just feels different, even though that statement sounds pretentious. No, it doesn't sound it's real. It's very much so real. I even have some modern music like Grimes or other modern music. Oh, like Neutral Milk Hotel. Yeah, that's the one. They sound different on vinyl. They really do. And it sounds like, I don't know, more depthful. I don't know. You get one speck of dust on a vinyl and it automatically sounds better than it does on Spotify because you just get a little, I don't know. There's even like my ABBA where it's got a not a chip or a crack, like a scrape that makes one of the songs skip in the same place. It goes doot, 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 and it skips, or not skips, but repeats the same thing. And so every time I'm listening to the digital version, I'm like, oh, it's about to skip. Nope, it didn't. It just played perfectly fine. I missed it. I missed the broken part. You know what I mean? Charlie says, instead of using my Switch, I've been using my old Game Boy Advance SP and playing Pokemon Gold, and that has forced me to slow down and appreciate it more. Oh, okay. Few thoughts on this. So, Lauren has been playing a game, RuneScape, on his phone a lot. But before that, he was using a Game Boy emulator to play Pokemon at 3 times speed, though. And I kept telling him, like, why are you playing at 3 times speed? You're not playing the game right at all. Like, everything's way too fast. And you're gonna, like, you're not even gonna enjoy it in the same way. And so I don't know if that message like finally got through to him or he got bored of it and started playing RuneScape instead. But you can't play RuneScape at 3 times speed. It's online, right? Maybe it's not online. I don't know. I don't play that game. But I think what's absolutely lovely about the Switch is that it has no real streaming services. It's like, no, this is for gaming. It's not a multifunctional every single thing future tool. And I actually love that because sometimes I'll be like, oh, I need to do something like with my bank or something, let's say for instance, and then I'll put down my phone and I'll be like, oh no, the bank is actually this too. And it's like, oh, I need to get my calculator and I set this down. Oh no, this is also my calculator. And I don't know, I just kind of hate that it's every single thing in one thing because then your brain, it doesn't have any muscle memory as it would switching from one thing to a different thing. Like, I don't know, I hope that makes sense. But what I'm trying to say about the Switch is that they haven't even made it possible. Maybe it is possible, but off the bat, you can't really just go to Netflix on the Switch. It is for games. And so they don't have you completely distracted like you would with the PlayStation 4. I think the PlayStation 4's user interface is way more geared toward like distracting you with what they want you to do than even like the PS3. You open the PS3 and it's like the PSP's like beautiful whoosh and it's just like, what do you want? You know, you want a game, you want a TV, you want to stream, you actually have to go down to TV and then hit the stream. Yeah, Charlie says, society is becoming too smooth. Ah. Are you talking about the Fairly Odd Parents? Are we talking the blobs, the gray blobs, where every single person is both gray and shaped the same? Oh, yeah. That's the exact kind of thing I believe as well. And no notes. is just too smooth. I personally, I like texture in life. I love my old books. One of my collections, because I like to collect things like vinyls, like DVDs. I don't really collect CDs, but I have a lot of them. But one of my collections is to collect old books, and I absolutely love, like, this is fabric. This isn't paper. This is fabric with embedded 3D. Like, I can feel these words. And I don't know why. I think it's very important to me to be able to feel something. Like, this is a leather-bound book. No one's making leather-bound books anymore. This is a really good one, too. Let me find my favorite poem. Go off the pictures. There's pictures, so you can remember, right? So this is the okay, let me attempt to pronounce this. But the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam. It's a collection of stanzas. He basically only wrote 4 lines for every single poem. And so it's similar to my book, very short little pieces to think about. But mine are not 4-line stanzas, personally. But this one reads, come with old Khayyam and leave the wise. To talk, one thing is certain, that life flies. One thing is certain, and the rest is lies. The flower that once has blown forever dies. It's a beautiful poem about how every single person will die. And most specifically, this is, I'm trying to remember, like, because there's a lot of different sects in, like, Christianity, and I believe he was, like, in the Middle East when Christianity was becoming popular and Islam was also becoming popular, and he was over here, like, almost kind of like Nietzsche, like leave the wise. Don't listen to the wise. They don't know anything. Life flies by. It's very quick, very fast. The rest is lies. The rest being that you either go to heaven or hell. No, life flies. Enjoy it here while you still can, because the flower that was once blown forever, you know, living in an infinite abundance, for instance, in heaven, while being potentially real, we don't know. So the flower that has once blown forever dies. It's just about how you need to enjoy life right here, right now. So that's why it's my favorite poem in here. I love people who were, like, raised with a religious thought and they question it. This is basically exactly like how I grew up. And so, yeah. Oh, I love the tangible. So good. Charlie says, humans like the tactile sensation, and a lot of people have forgotten that. Ugh. Without even mentioning the tactile sensation, you have the olfactory sensation, your nose, and, like, books have a real smell. Physical books, digital books don't smell. They don't take you anywhere. Charlie says, I think people are craving more physical, kinetic stuff because of how detached and smooth society is becoming. Yes. Oh my gosh, yes. So that is actually one of the reasons. Here, let me find, here, gotta plug in my iPad with my nifty on-the-go charger here. A little doop-a-doop. Oh, come on. But one of the reasons why I designed my book cover exactly how I did, and I don't know if anyone's actually noticed this, but I designed it to look like a physical, real, tangible book. Here, I have to tell the iPad what orientation the painting is, apparently. Reopen it so it's correct on here. So the colors are all wrong. This is like way more red pink than it is on my iPad. On the iPad, it's like orange red, not pink red at all. But if you can tell, I wanted it to look like a real book, like with texture, real book texture, real fabric texture, almost even attempting to make the letters in the picture look like they were stamped on. And let me go here so you can see the book that I'm holding. So this is The Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson, and it is not even like a crazy old copy. I think it was a copy they'd made almost emulating what I'm talking about too. So like we've been wanting to go back in time for ages, trying to find the copyright number. Doesn't even say. I found it before. Like, it's not a stupidly old book, but maybe I Googled it. Oh yeah, it says right here, copyright MCMLIV. Okay, I'll have to like literally Google what that means. MCMLIV is 1954. Yeah, guys. So, 1954, maybe this was how they made books back then, with the fabric. And I think this is leather, and it's got texture and everything. Everything is, like, you can, I don't even know how to say. It's embossed. It's real. It's tangible. And I think, like, a huge thing that people never even think about is your brain has a lot more muscle memory than you would expect. Well, like, let's say, for instance, you listen to an album, like a music album, and you write a paper to that album. In one of my philosophy courses, we were given like the question to write our essays after, and we had to come in and do the test, but we didn't have our paper that we wrote. We just had the question and our prepared paper in our brains. But here's the thing, if you listen to a music album while writing the paper, and then listen to the music album while rewriting the paper, you will actually have clues in your brain that tell you everything that was happening while you were listening to that music. And so this isn't muscle memory as much as it is like an auditorial, like intellectual memory, but it's memory nonetheless. And so, like, I was watching, what was it? I think it was like Desperate Housewives or something. But I was watching Desperate Housewives to my lunch for like a week straight. And so I put it on the other day. No, I didn't put it on. I started eating lunch. And so my brain was like, okay, so it's Desperate Housewives time? Or vice versa. I put on the show and my brain was like, okay, so it's lunchtime? This is just an example of how ingrained everything around us is within our mind. And so, like I was saying before, every single item, like a calculator, your bank book, your messaging, every single thing being in the same phone makes it literally harder to remember anything because you don't have muscle memory or auditorial memory or even smell memory, that doesn't work. But it doesn't work as well as if everything was different. And so maybe that is a whole aspect of why our attention span and memory isn't as good as it used to be, that people aren't even thinking about. You know, they're all like, oh, it's the short form content, but it's like, no, maybe it's also because we don't have tactile objects anymore. Actually, maybe. Yeah. I never even read any of the book, but I had planned to pause around now so that I can go check on my dog and take her out to potty. But she isn't even barking or whining or anything. Charlie says, maybe the best way to describe our society is disconnected. I think you forgot the word like how in there maybe. But yeah, maybe the best way to describe how our society is so disconnected is by pointing at how connected everything in society is. Ever think about that? So yeah, I wanted to share the first aphorism of the book. It doesn't go hard in right away. It doesn't go hard right away, at least. And so aphorism number 1, at the end of the day, sometimes the best thing to do is all you can do. There are only so many things in your control, what you think, what you do. Sometimes it is best to realize that there is nothing you can do, but to do your best at what you can do. And so this goes to what I was saying like way earlier, like why stress about how awful it is in Hawaii right now? Why stress about the Congo? Why stress about the everything and how crappy people's lives are? Why stress about how Pyongyang is just propaganda for how, you know, North Korea thinks they want people to live? Why? When we can't literally do anything about it, right? But sometimes we can, and we can look up, figure out ways in which we can do something. Even just voicing our opinion and making knowledge more popular so people know, you know, propagate the knowledge. Maybe that is all you can do. But thinking you can do absolutely nothing is not the best thing that you can do. And so, shit, why did that just fall? That was spooky. Those Christmas cards just fell right over. I think it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, so I hope that that makes sense. I can put the words on the screen so you can read it. Yeah, number 1 here. I can't zoom in. Oh, here we go. Charlie says, here, wait, let me put my screen up here. Yeah, so Charlie says, sometimes just meeting the people in your community and figuring out where you have common ground can be super helpful. Oh, yeah. I recently went out to a festival in my new town village. It's a village of literally 1,200 people, 1,200. Yeah, so I went out to the festival in the village and I saw like a library. And there was no postage outside, but there was a coffee machine and a table of treats right inside. And so I was like, what if we go check this out, you know? We can get a little cup of coffee, maybe get a treat. You know, maybe something they have is gluten-free, right? Never is. Rice Krispie treats almost always are, though, by the way. But yeah, I go inside and there's just a group of people chilling, hanging out in a circle, and I was just like, "Hello, what's going on here? Is this a library? Is this a coffee shop?" I can't even tell. There's a counter like it's a coffee shop, but also it's not set up. So what's going on? And the guy walks up to me and he's like, "Oh, hi. This is my office that I rent downtown our village because this is my book collection." And I freak out. I'm like, this isn't a library or a bookstore. This is your book collection, and y'all are just chilling in here chatting. And I'm like, about what, right? And so he's like, "Oh, we have like a group or a circle. These are my friends, like very tight knit kind of thing, right? And we just kind of like talk about philosophy and God and the Bible." And I'm just still here freaking out. Like, I have a book collection. I collect old philosophy books and, like Robert Louis Stevenson. All of this is Robert Louis Stevenson, by the way. And so we literally stand in there talking for over an hour about like my philosophies versus their philosophies, and literally verses, like, what Nietzsche has against Christianity. We like duked it out, and it was just the most amazing thing because there is a lot of common ground there, because the common ground is pure, unbridled interest in the human experience. And that was so beautiful. His wife literally gave me their phone number to be all like, "Let's connect again and talk more again soon." And like, "Oh, after you get your book published, be sure to bring me a copy, bring it in, we'll talk about it." And it was just amazing. And I think the most amazing part was just how different our philosophies were. But because they are so different, there's so much to talk about. When you have a philosophy like very similar to someone else, you don't actually have a whole lot to talk about, because it's like, "Oh yeah, for sure, yeah." Charlie says, "We have to embrace the cringe of talking to strangers and making friends in random places. The current government wants us all to fear our neighbors, so loving boldly is an act of resistance." Oh my gosh, can I pin this comment? That's beautiful. That's a beautiful sentiment. Not beautiful, but it's like the pointing out of the toxicity of how awful the world is. I think there's a disgraceful amount of fear-mongering out there to where they want you to think you're alone. And so much so that you are basically left with content to just intake all day long. And it goes so far to a point where it's like the only niche will eventually be entertainment. Like, everyone will be so succumb. Sorry, burping again. I guess I get burpy when I'm excited and freezing. But anyways, so we get so succumb into the distraction world that like there will just be a homogenous likes and dislikes, and everything will just be made for everyone, where we'll get to a point where it's like you'll put on the TV and whatever it is will interest you because you've been taught to not like anything else. Obviously there are still niches like sports, whatever. But that's just a different channel on the big free V. A little Brave New World humor. Do you know in Brave New World, I think it was Brave New World, maybe it was Fahrenheit 451. But anyways, the television, like the streaming service, is called Freevee, and it is like the end all be all of entertainment and distracting people from not wanting to be anarchist or resist the general ebb and flow of a sucky society. And then mother freaking Amazon Prime comes out of the works being all like, we made a streaming service called Freevee. And I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me? That is literally the name of a streaming service in a dystopian novel. Ah. But just the same, there's like a lingerie store called Soma or something. I don't know. I've never gone inside, but I do know it exists. And in Brave New World, Soma is the ultimate distraction and coping mechanism of everything. So good, so good. Yeah, I think Charlie's completely right. We just have to network, right? But not network in a place of getting, you know, utilitarian friends that you can call upon and use them as you see fit. No, what we need in life is befriending strangers. And so I've actually posted a number of videos on my TikTok about the very small, basically like 3-house neighborhood that I live in, because the house that lives like a mile that way, they're not in it. It's like the Amish and the folks on the other side of them. But the Amish family came in just like the same week we moved in with a huge plate of cookies, introducing themselves, kind of basically explaining the relationship that they'd had with the previous owner, which is that there's 2 gigantic apple trees on the property, and they were like, so the previous owner, she would let us pick the apples, and we were curious if that would still be okay. And I'm over here like, oh yeah, of course. Just because I bought the house doesn't mean they're my apples. They're the world's apples. So please feel free to take some. And they've just been so nice. They even brought us some Christmas cookies that I brought up like an hour or freaking forever ago. I've been streaming for ages. Oh, it says the internet's not super happy. Oh, now it says it's fine again. But yeah, and then the neighbors on the other side, they brought us a little welcome basket too, and have even come in after a snowstorm being all like, do you need us to help plow your, not plow, but like, I think plow is the word, plow your driveway so you can get to work. And oh my gosh, they absolute strangers have immediately become my new best friends, all because they had the gall to come and say hello. And I don't think people have that gall anymore. You know, they don't have the metal. They are told that everyone is a scary person and will come and steal their what is it called? The transistor radio. I don't know. The car part that kept getting stolen all throughout the summer. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Charlie says, I would love to visit an Amish community. I can't remember, Charlie, but do you speak German at all? Sprechen Sie Deutsch? Ich spreche Deutsch schlecht. Sehr schlecht. Very badly. But yeah, I think if you have a large interest in like meeting Amish community, I think having just a little bit of German in your back pocket could do you a world of wonder. Because I have found that my neighbors are entirely awkward, but probably about as awkward as I am in meeting any sort of new person. But in overhearing their kids just like talking in the Pennsylvania Dutch, like they are much more social when speaking in their own Muttersprache, their mother tongue. Mutter something. Yeah, ich spreche Deutsch. Yeah, how do so many people I meet just speak German? I am so entirely upset about not learning German in school. It's a bit of a long story, but my sister was learning French in high school, and then they offered it to 8th graders. And so I was like, okay, I'll take French in 8th grade. It'll give me a leg up on French laters. Ironically, I am one of the very few graduating classes that did not require a language, but I still took a language. And so in high school, I took French. And so when it came to university, they were like, oh, for a philosophy degree, you need like 2 or 3 courses of a secondary language. And I was like, okay, I'll just do French. I know a whole bunch of French. And then honestly, that will be super helpful for reading like Sartre or Simone de Beauvoir. But then I realized, like, after university, I was like, why the heck did I not just start over with German? My favorite philosophers are German. Every single, I mean, Sartre and de Beauvoir, they are 2 of my favorites, but beyond that, every single one of them is German. So I've been studying German for, I think my Duolingo just said 500 days the other day. So almost 2 years. But I still don't speak it very well at all because all of my like pointed study is in French. So j'ai parlé la française, aber or mais. See, I just said but in German instead of French, but that keeps happening to me. So Charlie says, I visited an Amish community when I was 7 and all I remember is losing a game of tic-tac-toe to a chicken. That's brilliant. It must have been a brilliant chicken. And then I studied abroad in Lüneburg, Germany. Oh, that's fantastic. Oh, see, my job, we do like events and such, and traveling all over the world. I've traveled to California twice and Japan once, but all of my coworkers are being shipped off to Germany, and I'm like, that's not fair. I want to go to Germany. So it's so cool. Charlie says, my minor is in German language and culture. Oh, that is beautiful. Yeah, I actually remember now. That's why I sent you with the Patreon postcard. I painted a beautiful like dreamland fachwerk house. And yeah, I should have remembered. I usually have the memory of a freaking elephant, but I can't lie, my memory has not been as good after my boss told me to go try to do the PR marketing with short form content people, and now I'm just addicted to the short form content. That stuff kills your memory. I cannot lie to you. But anyways, that is absolutely beautiful. I want to really want to go to a German restaurant and get some bretzels. Ah, so good mit Käse. Oh, like a beer Käse. I literally love beer cheese so much. I actually used to think beer smelt revolting until I went to Applebee's numerous times to get their pretzels with beer cheese. And now every single time that I smell beer, all I can smell is the yeast that goes into like the beer cheese, or it just literally smells like bread. Like literally it just smells like bread. And as someone who like doesn't really eat gluten, my bread doesn't smell like that. So I don't know. Moral of the story is, if you do hate the smell of beer, just eat a bunch of beer cheese and you will learn it is just fine. But yeah, so I do really want to better my understanding of German language and culture. I bought a book. Oh, it's kind of hiding, but where the frick? Oh, it's right here. I bought this book, which is a German to English illustrated dictionary. Oh, the light is kind of hidden it. But I'd realized when I got home, like, oh yeah, I can get my vocab down, but I actually much more so need grammar. Got to get my grammar down because they put words in the weirdest of places. Like if you say not, like almost all the time it's at the very end of a sentence. Like, I like bread not. Like, not. Like, it's so sassy. But yeah, I actually, when I was going to buy a house, I was looking into how feasible it would be to just buy a house in Germany. Like, I was very serious in, like, I will just move to Germany. I'll just, you know, fully embed myself with the culture, and then I'll really learn the language because I won't be able to avoid it, really. But the most ironic part about that is Nietzsche. I'm basically like a philologist of Nietzsche. I want to study his life, his philosophies, his every single thing. Even his sister. I'm like, oh, Elizabeth Alexandra Forster Nietzsche, you're a bad girl. But, so the most ironic part here is Nietzsche hated Germany, right? And so I was thinking, like, well, maybe it's better now, or maybe I can, like, go to, like, where he lived, or go to Wagner's big house, castle, or the mountain that Nietzsche would climb, to, like, the little cabin he would stay in and write in. But Nietzsche hated Germany, and Germany is currently the same place Nietzsche hated. So, with the whole Trump being elected and everything about the new, like, right side, I think that's. Anyways, there was a political party in Germany basically, like, going viral. And so I was just like, oh, yeah. So this is the same place Nietzsche absolutely hated. Same exact place. Not better at all. Maybe it is. If there's any Germans in the chat, feel free to correct me. But no. So I was perfectly fine with just saying, okay, I'll just go move somewhere like the German countryside, which is very much so like where I moved to, which is a very small village of 1,200 people. You know, the Amish right there, right next door. So I've got the emulation. Yeah, see, Charlie, Germany is complicated. It's complicated. Like, italicized, underlined, bold, complicated. And so, like, I think studying Nietzsche's life is perfectly fine enough. Like, his relationship with Richard Wagner and his wife, he was pretty much in love with his wife. It's a bit of a funny story there, but then he was just became best friends with Wagner until Nietzsche was like, oh, Richard's becoming a super nationalist, and he won't listen to me as to why that's bad. And so, like, they were good friends because Nietzsche also really liked to do music. And so, seemingly, from a lot of my research, almost all of Nietzsche's experience with the human phenomena is from just a select few people. Basically, like, his father, who was, I believe, a Lutheran pastor, but maybe it was a Protestant. pastor. And then he only had a very few relationships with women. Basically, three relationships, not including his sister. So four relationships with women. But yeah, like his mother, his sister, Richard's, Wagner's wife. It starts with an E, I can't remember. But then another woman was in the picture. But he would swear up and down that that woman was not his girlfriend. But then he like went and died of syphilis or something. So it's a very funny story to think like why he hated women or why he hated like Christianity. I think literally his view of the world is so like in a microscope. Like he didn't even realize like his version of Buddhism was a completely whitewashed version of a misunderstanding of Buddhism, and he thought it was very much so like Christianity. And I'm over here like, no, you read the bad translations and didn't even understand that your philosophies fall in line with Buddhism so much. Like so much so I have an entire essay article on my website, like Nietzsche's views aligned with Buddhism. And on my YouTube, I have got a whole video, Life is Suffering, the #1 principle in Buddhism. And Nietzsche is just the very same. And so, yeah, that's why I was like, I might as well just not move to Germany. Because even the history of Heidegger is pretty gross. I can't lie. It's pretty gross. He should have been much nicer to his Professor Husserl. But, you know, that's World War II for you. It's awkward, gross, awful stuff. Yeah. Yeah, so Charlie says, lots of European philosophers struggle with seeing outside of their cultural bubble. And so this is very true. Even with Simone de Beauvoir, a lot of philosophers in her time were like, this isn't philosophy. This is like your own personal diary and your own personal like thoughts and feelings on your own little society. And it's like, no, I'm literally just a woman. This is philosophy, not a diary. And if you think it's just a diary, then what are you writing? Okay? Yeah, it's good times. But on to like my next book. I have a short list of everything I want to read. So this says right here, things to read, because I do want my bubble to be as big as time itself. And so for that reason, I want to read the oldest things in the world. So we have the Enuma Elish, which was basically written like in the Middle East area in the late 2nd millennium BCE. But it's also guesstimated to be around like the 18th century BCE to the 13th century. But more or less so long ago. Burger Planet's Balloon Plug. Weird name, but no, this is not pre-recorded. I don't know. I don't understand the question. Is it because the camera's so good? Because you just need some good technology to do that. Yeah, so I really want to read how and why humanity was created. More or less, my second book, which is called The Million-Year War, no subtitle yet. I want it to be about creativity versus control, to where my first book, After the World Ends, You Build Your Own, is a lot more about authenticity and overcoming suffering. And so in being authentic, in overcoming suffering, we have to then tackle chaos versus control. And so if we start with the Enuma Elish, we basically have the very first point of creativity versus control, which is frickin' the dragon. oh, what's her name? Tiamat. We have the Tiamat versus the god Murdoch or Marduk. Anyways, so Marduk kills Tiamat, and basically this spill of her being is what creates humans. And so it's like the very first point in human written history is getting rid of chaos. I don't want to say sensory words because I don't want the algorithm to hate my words. Anyways, Marduk slayed Tiamat, and that killed chaos and left control in control. And so if the first written thing ever is about that, then I think that this is a problem that we have had forever. Ugh. All right, someone's blowing up the chat. How do I tell them to stop? Timeout. I'm gonna put you in a timeout, girlfriend. Sorry. Yeah, so before I put you in a timeout, hashtag sorry not sorry, I do have a list of book recommendations on my website, but I think I actually got rid of that page. Free Max BB says the first thing was actually a racist cave painting. I would not be surprised. Yeah, we're not saying the F word on here. Is someone find my link and decide to be a meanie pants? I'm so sorry for everyone who's not a meanie pants, but we don't do that. Scrolling, trying to find the messages. Yeah, BB. I've got my own little accent. Don't mind me. Just if I read your name, it will be how I read it. So yeah, Charlie, you just had to read the Enuma Elish. Isn't it like super short? I think I'm stressing about reading it, and it's actually super duper short. I even have the Bhagavad Gita, super duper short, but it's so daunting to think about because just like my aphorisms, it's like, yeah, it's only 20 words, but it's the essence of an entire philosophy boiled down into 20 words. So while it's short, it's still heavy. And so, you know, what slurs can we say? None of them. None of them. None. Why are you pretending to be an intellectual? Just make a sandwich and gap for the chat, honey. Clavicular. I'm not pretending to be an intellectual. Can we say the K word? I don't know what the K word. Oh, the K word, like slain. I was avoiding it. But yeah, so I cannot wait to read the Enuma Elish. I actually was thinking, like, for the second book, what if we, like, rewrite stories to where Marduk didn't just slay Tiamat. Tiamat let herself get slain. Think about that. She wanted the blood to spill. She wanted the chaos to come crawling out of her and seep into the earth. Think about that. Okay, I think your nose is small. You're not one of those. My nose is very small. I don't know what you're saying. You kind of look like you. Do we need a private server, my guys? If you guys aren't gonna be nice, I literally will just make this a private server. Can we stream on Patreon? Is that a thing? Yeah, it's okay, Charlie. I just gotta kick people off of here. I don't want to kick people out because then it's like, I don't know. Think about that. Know what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. I think anyone who's just spamming the chat should go away. All right, you've been paused. Jewel loves antinatalism. Why? Yeah, make chat subscribers only. Participants. I'll have to figure out how. Community moderation. Philosophically speaking, what do you think about Epstein? That is a very fun question, but from your, what's the word? Profile, username, your handle, I'm gonna say you have a biased opinion. I can be mod if you need to. Girl, I don't even know you. This is my second stream ever. Yeah, anyways, I will find the good messages. Don't you worry. Charlie, you're my number one. So if I see the words number one, there it is. You know it's Gab, right? With a B. It's not Gap. Gape. It's Gab. Anyways, what do I think about Epstein? I don't really have an opinion about things that happen in our modern world. At the moment, we're talking about the 18th century BCE, before Common Era. Anyways, back to my things to read for the research for my new book. I really want to read the book of Genesis. I tried to, but it kind of put me to sleep. No offense, but I think it would be really important to have that information in my brain. So beyond that, we have the Epic of Gilgamesh. And so if you were in the stream literally 1,000 years ago, you would know that the Epic of Gilgamesh is pretty important when it comes to like Joseph Campbell's Hero of a Thousand Faces, the hero's journey, and pinpointing exact points of what the hero's journey is. The Epic of Gilgamesh. Basically, we're going to see a lot of sad things going from the extraordinary world to the ordinary world. But my last one I have in here is the Bhagavad Gita, which is what I mentioned earlier. I think it's hiding right here. I have basically all like my European philosophy, and then up here is more or less like the rest of the world. But that's without mentioning a short portion of it being a little bit more of kooky philosophies. I think it's very important to talk about The Secret, even though Rhonda Byrne's Secret is kind of a cop-out is the only word I can think of. It's not a cop-out as much as it is a capitalistic version of ancient Egyptian values and philosophies. So if we want to get into the actual philosophies of the laws of attraction in The Secret, we really need to get into the literature of ancient Egypt. And so that's even where we'll find like the origin of the golden rule. And so basically when I went to university, I was like, number one thing I want to learn when I'm in college is, where did the golden rule come from? And so the answer is, like everything else, ancient Egypt. So So Charlie says, Genesis is very interesting because you have to understand a lot about ancient Hebrew cosmology for it to make sense. Exactly. Okay, so I don't know anything about the ancient Hebrew. Adderall? Ugh, don't even bring that up. That was my poison of choice in high school. We were 10 years since even taking one little slice of that cake. But yeah, so I was even trying to figure out with the ancient, it's a touchy subject. Like, let's be honest, it's a touchy subject. But do you know about Thus Spoke Zarathustra? The book Thus Spoke Zarathustra is about a god named Zarathustra, who is killed by a certain group of people. Not the god, obviously. No, not single, very happily about to be married. But yeah, so the god Zarathustra belonged to a religion, not belonged, obviously. That's such a funny word. But yeah, so that's the part of the book that I'm writing. I want to say words out loud to you right now, but I think it's just too touchy. It's too sensitive, honestly. But understanding the history of it all, the history of why one certain group of people were moved from one place to another, traveling the desert, it's very important to know. It's very important to know. And for this reason, I want to learn history, like, from the start of it. And so that's why I'm like, I want to find the first book ever, like the Enuma Elish. And so, yeah. Why do people keep bringing up race in my freaking chat here? Do I have black friends in real life? I mean, like, I don't have friends in real life. I think that's the first question we need to ask here. Oh yeah, I don't even have my ring on. I'm so excited. But yeah, I know a lot about history vis-a-vis Greece. And so like one part about being or wanting to be a Nietzsche philologist is understanding Greek myths. For anyone who doesn't know, Nietzsche was actually a huge studier, or his own like philologist of Greek myth and philosophy. And so he was like a professor in his 20s teaching Greek myth and philosophy. And so a lot of his, oh, thank you, Charlie. I don't feed the trolls. Trolls need nothing. But yeah, so a lot of Nietzsche's philosophies are actually based completely in Greek philosophies. And so he's got works like about the guy, the guy who married his mom, Oedipus. Yeah. Yeah, so Nietzsche's got like a whole book on Oedipus alone, and like bases a lot of his understanding on like Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, and all of that amazing goodness. But I want to study pre that because obviously they say Socrates is like the first philosopher, but it's like, no, he wasn't. And Aristotle literally like traveled and was a teacher to Alexander the Great. And Alexander the Great was literally like one of the main contenders in attempting to take over Egypt, or like be within their government and stuff. And so I think we got to take it further back. We got to go even further back because you can't just base everything off of what the white man tells you is the start of time, philosophically speaking, when it wasn't. It was not at all. Yeah, so I'm trying to see. Oh my gosh, did all the trolls just leave? Ah, no, there's maybe still one here. I don't know who they are. Is the stream still working? It's still working. Sometimes the oldest history or philosophy we have is only the oldest that survived, and there are much older sources. Yes, quite literally. As someone named Alexandra, I, for one, am very, very curious what was lost in the library of Alexandra. Monopoly Guy, you deleted your question, but to answer it, I don't know. I've never been to the island of Labanos. I've never been to any islands personally. I'm pretty terrified of the ocean. But I think that's just an innate fear that we all probably have. But I said I was going to pause the stream 45 minutes ago. This is how much I just love literally chit-chatting and gabbing. I've got a list here. There's actually a whole nother list and other things I want to study. But yeah, like Babylon, Sumeria, Egypt, the Indus Valley in Vedic, comparative myth, The Power of Myth by Joseph Campbell. I love Joseph Campbell. His Hero of a Thousand Faces is absolutely beautiful. But like Mesopotamia, I think it's all very interesting how much we repeat history. It's absolutely insane how much history is repeating itself. Like I'd made a joke TikTok the other day, reading off literally every single like catalyst to the Depression starting, like the 1920s Depression, 1930s. And so I was making a joke like, oh, so what do you think all of these, what do you think all of this is pointing to? 100 years ago, literally, and like every single point is something that's happening right now. Like about 100 years ago, they changed the tariffs to make tariffs a whole big thing. But here we are, 100 years, and it's all happening over again because no one knows how to study history. How about that? I'm literally a philosopher over here. I have almost no business studying history, but I'm over here like, no, that is probably the most important thing I should be doing, right? So 2 to 3 language credits is barely a necessity. What you should have necessitated for a philosophy degree is multiple history classes. Ugh. There was one freaking semester, I tried to do 5 courses, and my extra was anthropology. And I don't know if you know, but like Bones, I love me some Bones, and so she's an anthropologist, and so I was like, how about anthropology? And there's not even to mention the season or 2 of Community where they take anthropology, but I had to drop it. I still have the book, of course. Still have every single one of my college books. If zoomed out here, all of these, right? That's not the bottom row. There's a more so bottom row that is every single textbook I've ever gotten from college, including the notebook I took notes in. It's very important to not waste that money. Yeah, anyways, so I super duper gotta pee again, and take out my dog. She's probably just like waiting for me to go potty. But I know I've been streaming like since like 4:30. So Charlie, if 3 hours is cool for you, please feel free to move on with your life. Otherwise, I'll be right back. BRB, so I don't pee my freaking pants. Um, so put on the BRB screen. And once again, you don't have to stay. I know I've been streaming for literally ages, but I do need like 10 minutes to take out the dog and go potty and all of that awesome goodness. So if you are still here when I get back, that'd be lovely, but absolutely no pressure whatsoever. Also, P.S. If the person who was asking why I talk so quickly, girl, it's called coffee. That's it. Accusing me of doing drugs. Anyways, okay, so I'll be right back. Be right back. Bye. Well, not bye, but be right back. You understand words. Hello. I am back. It is so freaking cold outside. Oh my gosh. It's literally like with the wind chill, it's literally like it's where's the feels like? Yeah, feels like 0 degrees. I can attest to this statement. It feels like 0 freaking degrees outside. It's so cold. This is my miso charger. It's a lifesaver. I should have peed again, but it's okay. It's whatever. So I kind of figured BRBing for a little minute would get rid of all of the trolls. It says there's less people here now, so maybe #hopefully, cross your fingers, hope to get rid of all the trolls. But yeah, so we just went over all of the research that I want to do for my newest book, The Million-Year War. But obviously the philosophies within that book are also going to be on like contemporary subjects as well. Like I keep saying, like my books, I plan to have like in an aphoristic style, like very short little quips. But I did just write a short essay in my new book about the whole like Gen Z stare and basically like niceties and how niceties aren't really a thing anymore because the youngsters are convinced that it's a performance, you know. Oh man, performance. I really want to do more research on the panopticon, popularized by Jeremy Bentham, to which is basically a philosophy that states if you're like in a prison and it's shaped like an octagon and there's a center tower of watchmen that you can't really necessarily see as much as they can see you, then you will form a self-surveillance within yourself because you will be under the impression that someone can watch you. This is really ironic to the entire philosophy of being seen, because I always think about the Hawthorne effect in like sociology, I believe. And the Hawthorne effect is that you will act different if there's a camera on you. And I think we can all kind of say that this theory is without a doubt a proven factual matter. If there's a camera on you, you will act differently. But with the idea of the panopticon from Bentham, it's almost like an idea that there's always just someone watching, someone perceiving you, some camera could be on you. Yeah, Charlie, we basically live in a panopticon now. Yeah, because every single person has a phone. And so a lot of the things that I keep reading is that Gen Z thinks that they could be like recorded at any moment's notice. Like if they do something cringy, blah, 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 someone's going to record them and then post it. I don't know why they got this feeling, but I guess it kind of makes sense because like we all see random videos of like, oh, look at this loser, this crazy Karen or whatever, and people will get recorded and posted online. But like how often does that happen? But then I saw this whole anecdote about like someone dancing at a club and it got like posted online, and it's like, okay, so that's very random, but it's not always gonna happen. Charlie says that's why Gen Alpha kids think everything is cringe because they feel like everyone's eyes are on them. My puppy is crying a little bit. I bet she's really bored. She's been in her crate for hours and hours. Charlie says, true with Gen Z, but I think it's even worse for the younger kids that are Gen Alpha. Oh, yes. So I'm not the most fluent in internet language, be it, like millennial, Gen Z, Gen Alpha. I think I would be considered a cusper between millennial and Gen Z. But I think it is very prominent, especially for kids growing up nowadays and all of their parents like wanting to get a picture, oh, can you do that again so I can get a picture? And then them going online to post it, to which I'm very pro don't post your kids online, because this is probably the entire reason as to why kids feel like they're just being watched 24/7, because their parents would put them online. Pixie's crying over there. Let me just go check on her. Just real quick. Little babe, you're okay. Are you so very bored? Do you want your toy instead of your food? Here's your toy, baby. And get your food. I love you, darling. There's a good girl. Is that much a happy baby now? You're a happy baby now. I love you. She can't have her crate toy and her food in the crate at the same time, because she broke her bowl. She literally broke her ceramic bowl with her toy. Now she can't have them at the same time. But anyways, so my entire essay about how Gen Z, and maybe it is more so toward Gen Alpha, is about how the niceties is all just a performance. And so benevolence and being basically nice for no reason has been a huge thought in my brain. So her name's Pixie. We adopted her and her name was already chosen, Pixie. But I was like, how fun would it be to maybe just change the spelling? So I have it spelled on her name tag, Pyxsi, just for funsies. But also the new Blackmagic camera, the Pixis. It just kept making me think oh, well, the Pixie, Pyxsi. I don't know. But yeah, you are a cusper. I also feel like a baby millennial. My parents they were born in 77, right? So they're just over 40 or something. They were growing up as they were raising me. And so I feel like I grew up a lot more so based on their growing up. I don't know, to put it into context, they're very much so 90s and 80s kids, and so I am as well. So I don't know, I also have an older sibling, so I think when you have an older sibling, your whole alpha or generation, whatever the heck, it changes infinitely more so, especially with Lauren, my fiance. His brothers are literally 15 years older than him, and so he was raised basically in a different generation than what he was born into. Me personally, I have just always been, I've already said it in the stream too, I've always been nostalgic for an era I was never in, but that's just the whole thing about coming from a family riddled with mental health problems. You will just feel like an old soul. But yeah, so I do need to do more research on the Panopticon, because I think the Panopticon, Jeremy Bentham wrote out like the prison architecture to where an entirely different philosopher was like, we can apply this to life itself. But Bentham, being like one of the founding fathers of utilitarianism, I think he kind of knew. Yeah, so Charlie says, my older sister absolutely helped me in being more a part of her generation. Exactly. Even my sister being only 2.5 years older, it will change who you are as a person. Literally, like why I'd said I studied French instead of Spanish, or, seeing into the future that I would want to learn German. No, I chose French because my sister did. I chose a whole lot of things because my sister did. And that's just how life goes. Yeah, having an older sibling is a pretty big deal. So, on that note, I do want to say I want to copulate. I want to offspring spawn. But I think just one. And so the sibling conversation is a huge one, because I'm like, well, they might want a sibling, but I don't know if I want multiple offspring. But I know I really enjoyed having a sibling. Sorry, my lips are so chapped. They're literally falling off of me. And so the hope is that maybe we just have twins. That would be optimal, because then I wouldn't have to necessarily make the decision myself. But I think what I am trying to get at too is the age of your parents is also a huge part of who you are. If we want to go back to some philosophical terms, we could go to Heidegger's phenomenology, in that your thrownness is exactly who you are. And so your thrownness is how you were born, where you were born, but also like literally every single aspect of like how many siblings you have, how old your parents are, and then the classic adage of no two parents raised the same kid. Like every single kid is raised by different parents because parents treat their children differently. Oh my gosh. Okay, sister in the chat, Samantha and Clouds, it sounds like I've been summoned. Literally, we have summoned you here. We were just talking about thrownness. I just got back from taking out Pixie, but before that, we were going over the whole like research spiel of what I want to do for my next book, which is to take us all the way back to the beginning of time itself, to where Marduk slays Tiamat. And so my understanding of this myth is that not that the control completely slayed Chaos, but that Chaos allowed herself, Tiamat, allowed herself to be slain, to bleed her chaos into the earth, and what this does is created the humans. And so humans were not created out of the control taking over the chaos. No. Humans were created from chaos itself. And so the book is called The Million-Year War, right? And so our Million-Year War is this fight for control versus the chaos, because this is like the literal like inner like man versus self, our own inner dialogue that happens probably every single day. Even most like literally like Heidegger's idea of authenticity being like you have to choose versus autopilot, non-authenticity. And so which one is which? Which one is the control? Which one is the chaos? Is authenticity both control and chaos? what would the inauthenticity be? Uncontrolled chaos. I don't know. It's definitely something to think about. I'm trying to think, like, what was even the last thing I wrote in my new book? See if I can find it right quick. So the Million Year War. We're already on to aphorism 139. And, okay, so ironically, numerous beta readers that I'd had for my first book were like, this is very much so poetry. And even a couple of my rejection letters were like, we don't do poetry. And so I'm over here like, it's not poetry. It's not a literal like 4-line stanza, you know, it's not a haiku. But with that, I kind of figured maybe we do write some poetry. Maybe we write some poems. So the second book actually has poems in it, as well as like little aphorisms, like I cannot think of the word for Buddhist, just like a one sentence thing, an aphorism. But yeah, so my most recent one is a nice long poem. I could read it for you. Teehee, gotta lean into it. That's what I'm saying. Charlie says, the important role of female deities and spirits in mythology is often diminished in Western depictions. Koan. Yes, thank you, Charlie. It's Buddhist koans. So one of my professors that I'd had for multiple courses, I was about to say her name, but it's not probably right to say that. But she had us do assignments that were basically like, don't write papers. Write as much as you can with only like 200 words. Literally, as much essence boiled down as you possibly can so that I know you fully comprehend it to a way where you can say it simply in a short form. And so I found that to be hugely inspirational. It's inspirational to my brother and me. Because like when you look at, oh my gosh, so these two books, Nietzsche, this is just one of them. This is just one of 2 volumes. Nietzsche by Martin Heidegger. Look at how big this is. It's literally too much for my modern brain. And so I'm like, what if we just boil things down into short little things? This chapter is on Zarathustra. I think Zarathustra might be everyone's favorite Nietzsche book, but it's also Nietzsche's only storybook, so it might be just easier to read. But yeah, so Heidegger, he tried to boil his entire thoughts on authenticity into like 4 books, but then after writing 2 of them, found Nietzsche and was like, oh, he already wrote every single thing that I had in my brain. That's okay. And so he went on to just become a Nietzsche philologist and wrote books on Nietzsche himself. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm like, okay, so everyone actually already knows everything that they could ever learn. And this was actually my senior philosophy thesis, which is the whole thing about authenticity, but also what I dubbed as creative pessimism. And in that, we all think everything has already been done. You know, I can't come up with any new like cartoon styles because you can't make up a new cartoon style. They already all exist. And it's like, so my philosophy is, yes, that pessimism is founded. Everything kind of does already exist. But that shouldn't stop you from doing anything. It should actually implore you to take your own spin on whatever it may be. And so, yes, it might be a thing, but it's not your thing. It's not in your like handwriting, more or less, or style, or whatever your creative medium may be. So yeah. Did you guys want to hear the poem that I wrote last week? It's called How Do You Know? Very much so like epistemology meets ontology. I'm so nervous. I'm shaking in my boots. I think my blood sugar is actually super low. Oh, let me share the screen so you can read along. Okay, so how do you know? What cannot be seen, felt, or heard, tasted, smelt, or measured, this is what forms our conceptual world. Metaphysical words that make up our reality that cannot be found within reality itself. Our love, our me, our sense of time, space, identity, our justice, science, logic, and reasoning, our sense of goodness and evil most especially. Even God, Jesus, Santa, the Holy Trinity, and it's for this reason that we cannot simply trust our eyes, ears, nose, or our faculties. This is what we call phenomenology. The phenomenon around us that we perceive through both our senses and the holy me, only you can see your world and how it relates to thee. However, we are still taught the meanings and the essence of things, for instance, of a tree. A tree is a plant. It provides shade or shelter. Trees create the oxygen by which we breathe. Depending on your height, though, we can say that the tree is small, large, or simply shrubbery. How it appears to you, of course, is never the same as how the tree would appear to me. For me, the tree is but simply there, but for you, perhaps the tree is deserving of sanctuary. One cannot separate the phenomena before them from the metaphysical, or at least not easily. In taking away our own thoughts and essence, this is where we find moral relativity. From the moment we are born, we are thrown, we are taught what is from our mommy and daddy, but be that the known or the abstract, we learn what is goodness from evil most especially. But how do others appear in the same light, thrown from a different world, a different reality? What they do never seems exactly right. For this reason, we judge based on what we see, not understanding that there is an entirely different world outside of you or me. So that's a poem I wrote. Just a little something. I just threw it on. But yeah, so like I had this idea of writing an aphorism on like phenomenology, metaphysics, moral relativity, and everything just kept kind of like rhyming. And so I was like, oh, we'll just make this a poem then. That's fine. Straight fire, dude. Thank you so much, Charlie. I'm so glad you liked it. Thank you. I'm so glad you love. Oh, weird. It says one chat's here and then one chat's here. I got two chats open. Don't mind me. But yeah, so I thought it was really funny that everyone was like, your book is so poetic and lyrical. And I'm over here like, well, I don't know. When you're learning French, sentences are only ever right if they sound right. And so I made sentences sound right to me, right? But I guess that also means that they have a rhythm. burp. Sorry. I'm so burpy today. I don't even know why. But thank you for understanding. So yeah. Let me know if you want me to read anything from the first book. I think I think I'm gonna try and publish it this week. But it's so crazy to even imagine. Go away. Let me just use the words. Yeah, like aphorism 428. Change is a dependable friend, never changing. So that's 7 words. You know, is it a poem? Maybe. It's also only 7 words. The meaning behind change is a dependable friend, never changing, is because change itself can never change from being what it is to which is change. So it's kind of like a play on word. I love to play with words. One of my more recent writings in my newer book is literally about how your relationship with words and language actually points to exactly how intellectual you are. And so some people say that puns are a really cheap form of comedy. And I'm over here like, no, puns are the smartest form of comedy, actually. Yeah, a Zen koan. See, I like to liken myself as a Zen Buddhist. I usually just tell people I'm a Taoist Buddhist, but Zen Buddhism is probably like one slap label, easy peasy. Sorry, I'm like literally shivering. I'm freezing. I didn't have the heart to turn my heat up to freaking 80. But I really like just being Zen. Like, full disclosure, Lauren, my fiance, he and I had a little bit of a tiff about how like we're getting old and we gotta make a babe before we're literally geriatric. And so I told him, I was like, it'll happen when it happens. We have to just calm down. And so like that was the best thing I probably could have said, because it's like you cannot change what you can't change. You can change what's in your control, but very much so, like any Stoic philosophy, there's only actually so much in your own control. And so this is why I really love Stoicism, Buddhism, Taoism. What you control is your brain. Like obviously I can control my thoughts, not thoughts, my hand. But everything is in your brain. Your thoughts and feelings, everything you do, all of your emotional reactions are completely under your control. And so like my sister kind of says that I go about this in a, what's it called? Like an attack or like a violent form of inspirational motivation, which is just like, well, you can't do anything about it, so you might as well just like get over anything that's in your thoughts and feelings. But that's basically what it is. But I have to learn how to say things like much nicer. So yeah. Could read a couple more aphorisms here. I feel like the ones on this page are a little silly maybe. About aphorism 430. You know what used to be illegal? Disco. A sight of joy, freedom, and spirit. The first breath of punk and rebellion, and an inferno. So this is almost like an entirely like a joke. A disco inferno is a song. Disco versus punk was basically like the two cliques versus the socias. Like the socias, they were around. They didn't do disco. They didn't do punk. But the punks and the disco headbutted a lot. But both of them were a rebellion against society itself. I don't know, like, if you've ever watched The Goodies, but there's a whole episode about how disco is completely illegal. And all it is people wanting to smile and have fun and maybe get a little loose. And what this does is completely, I wish I could think of literally every single word, but my hippocampus doesn't work very well when I'm hungry. But basically, all of this challenges the societal norm of just being a normie follower. You know, if you're out there having a good time, how are we supposed to control you? Yeah. So that one's a little bit silly, but also it's a thinker, you know? It's a joke with layers. I'm an onion. What can I say? 431. It's 4 words. Get ready. Habit. A transgression against authenticity. And so if you do read the book, you will very much so soon to realize that every single one of my thoughts and feelings are based on other people's philosophies. And so, like Heidegger, Nietzsche, Sartre, like all the people I've studied, I want to help make more approachable to maybe the layman. And so the audience, the targeted audience for the book isn't necessarily intellectuals as much as it is like when, let me pull it out. But when Rhonda Byrne popularized the law of attraction back in like 2008, 2009, 7. Let me look here. I was so close. But yeah, when Rhonda Byrne popularized ancient Egyptian philosophy in 2006, this book blew up the world. Like every single person, not intellectuals, not even like the academics would really like seemingly touch this. They were like, this is a joke. This is a cop-out. Like this is a self-help book. And what's ironic is the guy who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. Stop it. Sorry, my phone's just being a dummy. But the guy who wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul is in The Secret documentary. Or is it, would you say it's a documentary? Or would you call it like a dramatization of the book? Oh man, I can't even help but think of the introduction of the thing. A year ago, my life had collapsed around me. Like, do you ever just hear the words from the Secret documentary just like play in your head? Because I do, probably every single day. Everyone's intonation, the use of how they use their words, they're so like a rhythm. It's like a song in my head. I've watched the thing so many times. Yes, Jack Canfield. It says right here, Jack Canfield, Chicken Soup for the Soul. He is in here, and so are numerous other people. But that book and this one is supposed to be a self-help book for the layman. Charlie says, I think your style of writing is perfect for reaching a wider audience. Thank you. That is kind of like what I'm going for. Because I don't want philosophy to be daunting to everyone. I actually want everyone to be able to... That was an amazing impression. Thank you so much. It's the Australian freaking drama of that. I'd been given a glimpse of the great secret, the secret to life. The glimpse came in a 100-year-old book given to me by my daughter Haley. Why doesn't everyone know this? the music playing in the background. It's so good. But no, it is... Finn the human's falling over. But it is so funny to how people don't respect self-help philosophy the same way they do self-help or philosophy. But anyone who seemingly tries to make, like life is suffering in Buddhism and the Eightfold Path, the way out of suffering through the Four Noble Truths, the last of which being to go through the Eightfold Path, you have to have the right thought, the right understanding, the right speech, the right action, the right, there's 8 of them, right? And so it's obviously very different. That one's a little bit weird because people think Buddhism's a religion, and it's not. It's a philosophy, and it's basically just a way of life. But yeah, so I guess my biggest question to you then is the cover art. So let me pull the cover art back up. And just as a super friendly reminder, the color is not right. So let me switch here. So yeah, like I was saying before, this is a super pink red version of my Procreate on my iPad. It's very much so red orange. But ignoring Lauren's drawing of Trump, I have a few other not titles. I only have one title idea, but I had a few other cover ideas, which would be like Sisyphus. So this is Sisyphus pushing the boulder up the hill, and there's a person on the boulder because in my book I actually rewrote the myth of Sisyphus to where Athena is there. And so I think the original myth of Sisyphus is really great in explaining the mundane of, or I forget the exact word that Camus said, but it's everything is pointless. Everything's pointless, like nihilism, but it's a little bit different. But if nothing was exactly pointless and you had a goal, but not an achievable goal, a lie of being able to achieve a goal, more or less to spoil it, as an American, we are told we have the American dream, right? And so we have this quote-unquote achievable goal, but it's not really achievable at all. And so I wanted to rewrite the myth as being a window into the illusion of how we are constantly pushing ourselves to achieve this unachievable goal. Go away. Sorry, I have my phone connected here. See, but I just have to disconnect it because it will not stop ringing. Anyways, so I love my rewriting of the myth of Sisyphus, and I believe Albert Camus would also love it, but I don't know about it as being the cover of the book. And then I also have this idea, drawing, where it's kind of like an Ouroboros, where an Ouroboros is a snake eating itself, but instead of finishing the circle of being an Ouroboros, it's completely interrupted. And so honestly, kind of with the idea of how every single Star Wars movie is, the name makes more sense for the movie ahead of it. or behind it, I can't remember. I was kind of thinking how fun would it be to make a cover for the first book that actually goes toward the first aphorism in the second book. And so this is like a picture of Marduk slaying Tiamat, who's like a dragon, like a snake, with his spear. And then in that, you completely interrupt the Ouroboros. But I didn't really get great reception on this one. I don't know if it's because it's a silly drawing or what. But I think the other drawings that I'd had are just like on paper, so I don't have them here. But the other idea I'd had was kind of like Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds, where they say, the Beatles song obviously, but where they say she's got kaleidoscope eyes. I really liked that like vision, that idea. And so I'd drawn kaleidoscope eyes. But I don't know, I kind of see that same imagery on other things, so I moved away from it. Charlie says, have you ever heard of the Gospel of Thomas? The aphorism thing made me think about it. No, I haven't. I'll have to write that down. Gospel of Thomas. Oh, it's like crazy old. So you are on that same path. You know exactly what I'm into. But no, I should write that down. Gospel of Thomas. I spell gospel with a P. Man, I accidentally grabbed a size 10 pen and everything written on this page is like a size 7. So it's boldened. I won't miss it. But Charlie says, it's a short, meaningful statement by Jesus, but it... ... I'm awaiting your answer. No pressure. Also, I hope the 5-second lag isn't absolutely terrible. But just as a friendly reminder, there's a good 5-second lag. So yeah. One of the biggest points of compliment is not the word. Critique? Yeah, critique. The biggest critique I had on this cover was that I should add the subtitle and that the inline text of After the World Ends doesn't totally leave a lot of space in between the words world and ends. And so that's my biggest thing right now. I might like make the text smaller to make more space in between world ends, and I might go ahead and add a subtitle. But ironically enough, a lot of people on like Twitter and TikTok were like, this looks like the cover of a poetry book. And they didn't actually have a whole lot of context at all as to what kind of book it was. And so I was just like, perfect. So that means I'm on the right track at least, right? Yeah, chat messed up. That's okay. I kind of figured chat was messed up. Chat's always messed up. Freaking, I couldn't even get the stream to start working for 30 minutes. I had to log back into OBS about 5 times. And if you'll notice, this is not the link for the like upcoming live stream that I'd set up. I figured out how to access that like post, live stream post that I'd made on OBS, but it was like, oh, you can't do that. You got to start a new one. And I'm like, but whatever. I'll have much more experience for next time, though. That's for heckin' sure. Yeah, I'm so excited. It said, just from a super brief peek online about what the Gospel of Thomas is, is that it is an ancient text found in Egypt, found in 1945. So that is a really funny time to find something new. But, 1945, I think the war had technically ended by then, right? One sec, let me... No, not 3. We're not there yet. Yeah, 1945, September 2, was literally when the Second World War ended. This is saying May through September. That's interesting. But yeah, so it makes you think, doesn't it? It makes you think. But that's just me. I like to put everything into the context of when, where, who, why, how. But that's just how I was taught in my philosophy courses, especially going through like the major like ethics. Whenever you're like in an ethics course, they're like, okay, use the different schools of ethics to apply to this situation. So like, for instance, utilitarian value-based ethics, Aristotelian value-based ethics, utilitarianism, on freaking deontology, and then the more niche one, which is the care of ethics, the ethics of care. I'm so sorry, but they say that the ethics of care is a little bit more feminine, and I'm over here like, y'all men don't care. It's pretty awful of you. I think it was a part of the Dead Sea Scrolls discovery. Oh, what the heck is the Dead Sea Scrolls? Okay, let me find a thinner pen so things aren't making me crazy town. Dead Sea Scrolls. Oh man, that sounds very interesting. Like, just like messages in a bottle, just trying to save the Library of Alexandria one bottle at a time. Can you imagine? Oh, that sounds absolutely beautiful. So Samantha had popped into the chat, my sister. She's like, snack break soon. So I don't know if she's still here or if she left to eat some snacks. Or if she's telling me I need to eat some snacks, because that is hashtag so true. But yeah, I'm really excited. I was saying way earlier that I bought ground pork so that I could make some Italian sausage for a whole bunch of spaghetti/pizza sauce, and that has been lovely. But unfortunately, there isn't any gluten-free pizza dough in any of my local grocery stores. Like the one that comes like it's dough, not a pizza. So I'm excited to actually make up my own pizza crust. It should be delicious. Yeah, I should eat something yummy after this stream. I don't know if I have anything. Like, I ate like almost all of my leftovers yesterday. And the rest are all frozen. But I'm sure there's something to eat. But I'm really excited. I'm gonna make ground pork tacos / also leftover stuff, like meal prep stuff. Not leftover, but like meal prep stuff for taco salads. For that, I got a whole bunch of mustard greens and red lettuce. I forget what it's called. But it'll be super duper fun. I've had some black beans soaking in my Instant Pot. And so, I don't know if you know, Charlie, you totally already know. But if you are buying cans of beans, you are buying the convenience fee 1000%. Even if it's just $1 for a can of beans, it is about $2 or $3 for a bag of dried beans. And those make so many cans of worth of black beans or whatever the heck kind of beans. For the housewarming party, I'd actually made up like hot dog chili. And so that was super duper fun. For that one, I actually made black beans with some of my homemade beef bone broth stock. For this one, though, I just used water. I actually forgot to salt it. Hopefully it'll be fine. But I did kind of find that the black bean bone, the beef bone broth cooked into the black beans did give them a lot more flavor. And so that was really delicious. If you're curious how to make hot dog, chili dog stuff, I don't know how to tell you this, but it's just a lot of beans and tomato paste. That's all you need in life. I personally don't like hot dogs that much. I prefer pork hot dogs over beef hot dogs, but I do just prefer brats in general. But this is also me talking to a vegetarian. Charlie, you're a vegetarian. Samantha, you're not a vegetarian anymore, I don't believe. No, not at all. But you don't like hot dogs either. I'm talking to nobody who likes hot dogs. That's fine. I personally, I've buried it. I've got a painting of a burger, though, under here. And I've got a painting of a burger out there. I have an affinity for burgers. Even my Patreon postcards, I'd used my Steak and Shake, like waitress, filler out kind of thing. Because I just love burgers so much. So Samantha says, Ouroboros also gives bug Sisyphus vibes. Like my drawing of the poop beetle. Oh, let me pull that up right now. One sec, just bear with me. What are the beetles called? The poops? Oh no, this isn't the right copy. I actually kind of lost the drawing I'd made, the entire sheet of stickers. Oh wait, is it just right here? Kinda, sorta, not really. Still very much so not the right thing. But I had made the video for Mischief's social experiment about the cow being sold. But up here in the corner, because I have it as clean feed, you won't be able to see me zoom into it. But right underneath the frog is a dung beetle. That's what it's called. A dung beetle pushing up a Whopper wrapper, which I thought was so funny. But no, for real, I was going to make this into a literal sticker sheet, but then my iPad went and did a big old poop on me, and now I can't actually even find the file for the drawings. That's whatever. But yeah, no, you are completely right. A dung beetle. I don't think anyone's gonna buy a book with a dung beetle on the cover of it. Maybe. I kind of doubt it. So Charlie says my mom made vegetarian chili for Christmas. Oof. Okay, I actually was talking about a vegetarian chili, minus the fact that it had the beef bone broth in it. It's so funny because I was even thinking oh, I should get some ground beef to put in the chili. Oh wait, no, it's like a vegetarian chili. Oh wait, no, it's got beef bone broth in it. But yeah, oh my gosh, just some green peppers and onions. That's all you need in life. Contention. Contention was not the word I was trying to think of forever ago. It was compliment, critique. There's a word in there. Constructive criticism. We did it. We got it. We're there. Yeah, you're 5 minutes behind, but I got the memory of an elephant. I know what you're trying to help me with. Thank you. Yes, the biggest point of contention I have with this is that you are 5 minutes behind. The whole world is 5 seconds behind, my girl. Why can't lives just be like literally live? Um, now that I think about it, I actually did make that sticker sheet using Adobe Fresco and not Procreate. It's right here. It's literally right here. It broke a while ago, but I had since fixed it. So, like, I made the thumbnail using all of the stickers. Oh shoot, if it's gonna take that long, cancel and just open the stickers. But yeah, so I made the thumbnail for my Mischief Angus cow being sold as tokens. But yeah, I was really surprised not a whole lot of people, like, if I thought any of my videos would go viral, I figured maybe that one, because the cover art is so good. I literally stared at the Bob's Burgers adverts for ages. And I wanted to make one just like that, like a big, here, I can go to me while this is loading. And I wanted to make it look just like Bob's Burgers, because I love me some Bob's Burgers, some John H. Benji's, please. But no, for real, I think I definitely want to do one in a video on that project in March when it comes to its fruition, because I have a feeling the social experiment will lean towards human interest versus or over animal lives. Samantha says, I've been in and out of the stream. I have so much to do. Sam can't lift over 5 pounds, and their mom will be landing here in 2 hours. Oh gosh, yeah. Don't even worry, girl. It is fully fine. I completely understand. Living in a world where apparently neighbors can just drop in, I'm over here like, I want a cleaner house in general. I just want my house to be super duper clean. Like, I ran over to my neighbor's house the other day and I saw, I just want to use people's names. Why can't I just say people's names? But anyways, the lady of the house, I saw her just like run a scramble, pick up a couple of things, and then let us in. And I walk in and I'm like, what'd you even pick up? It's freaking spotless in here. You just live life in being spotless. And that's the point I really want to be. And so, like, almost every single day, I keep waking up and then doing a couple of dishes. We do not have a dishwasher. So I think that is key context to this here. We do not have a dishwasher. These are dishwashers. And so, yeah, but there's more to life than dishes. I need to straighten up my living room still. Yeah, so Charlie, I'm going to have to leave in a minute, but I have so much fun, and we'll message you about the Patreon later. Oh, yes. So I sent Charlie a letter. This just finished loading, if we can quick peek at it. Everyone always asks me why I don't post my art online. I think I posted this, but then I'm like, I don't know. And obviously, like the other thing, the colors are a little off. But I was so happy with how this turned out. And maybe I'll actually make it a physical product, but I really don't like the commodification of making every little thing in life a product. And so, I don't know. I think when people are like, why don't you ever post your art? I think that should be a compliment, right? Because it's like, well, maybe I'm just better than you. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe it's more like because I have to have it, I enjoy doing art and it's not just for posting, maybe. Yeah, I should go too. Samantha says, it's taken me years of practice to get to a point where I don't have that much to do before she gets here, but it's been a lot of hard work to get here. Yeah, Samantha, you and I both know, coming from a house of complete disaster, child of divorce, one house disaster, the other house pristine, you know in your soul which one's better. So I'm so glad that both of us are getting into that rhythm of life. Like Charlie's over here in the chat just like, well, I have a whole farm to take care of, so there's no slacking over here. And it's like, we gotta get there. We gotta practice. But yeah, being down for the count. Well, I'm trying to think, like, classic Midwesterners. I don't know how to get off the phone here, but Charlie, thank you so much for hanging out. It's been such a pleasure. I didn't want to, like, hope and expect you to be on, but, like, I was really hoping you would be here. So it's such a great pleasure to hang out again, and hopefully I can stream again soon. Even just make a freaking YouTube video. Gotta get my life together. So thank you. And Samantha, thank you so much for hanging out. Oh, just one big hug. It was all three of us last time, so it's just ironic. Yeah, so I love you guys. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Eat lots of food and drink lots of water. Stay cozy and warm out there. But yeah, defos. All right. So yeah, I love you. Bye. Have a beautiful rest of your day. I will end the stream. All right. Bye. I don't want to end the stream. No, I will. I gotta eat. All right. Bye, babes. I love you. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Stay warm. Stay golden, pony boy. Get some grubs.